One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. So I feel like I have to be the bearer of bad news today because there's a lot of anxiety that is surrounded by starting a podcast. And it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's not the universe's fault. It's just kind of what happens when you try something new, right? You have to deal with the uncomfortableness of not really knowing what you're doing, and you're trying to figure it out, and you're a little overwhelmed. Like there's just a whole bunch of pieces to the puzzle. So today, I'm actually speaking to an anxiety coach that's going to talk to us about how starting a podcast and getting out of our comfort zone can actually be an amazing thing. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Profit Podcast, where we teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Profit, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Because if you've been thinking about creating a podcast for a while, well, I'm so glad you found this show. Think of this as the shortcut / time-saving version of searching Google and YouTube for hours and hours trying to figure out the world of podcasting. Trust me, as a busy mama of 3, I get it. You don't have a lot of time to be spent or wasted, I should say, searching the web, trying to find all the right ideas and all the amazing things that are out there, and you just end up overwhelmed. Trust me, I've been there, done that, took home the souvenir. But this podcast is going to help you in practical ways because twice a week we'll be delivering episodes that are going to give you steps to help you create a podcast your audience can't wait to listen to. So let's get right to it, shall we? Have you been wanting to start a podcast? You've been thinking about it. It feels right. You just know this is the next thing that my business needs. Well, I encourage you to sign up for my 5-day podcast bootcamp. This is a thing that you have been looking for. It is a 5-day video series where I walk you through exactly how to start, launch, and market your podcast. And I throw in some more information about planning strategies and being consistent and how you can make the most out of your podcast from day one. So sign up for our 5-day Create Your Podcast Bootcamp at crystalprofit.com/podcast bootcamp. And do it already. You know that you've been wanting to, so just bite the bullet and join us. So like I said in the intro, today we're talking with an anxiety coach, Danielle Kean-Grassi. So Danielle and I met online, and it was kind of a funny story because we just kind of started chatting and we realized we have a lot of things in common. And then we realized, oh my gosh, we have this passion for helping other people. And so I did a Facebook Live. I'm going to link to it in the show notes. And we had so much fun. She invited me to come talk on her Facebook page about podcasting and how people can get started and this and that. And I told her, I said, I really want you to come speak to my audience. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted us to talk about. And then I already knew Danielle, but she sent over her bio, and I remembered she specifically focuses on anxiety. And y'all, I was like, ding, 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 hello. Like, if you've tried to start your podcast or you're in the middle of it, there's a lot of anxiety, right? Because there's a lot of unknowns. If you're trying to figure things out, maybe you're overwhelmed, like, what do I name my podcast? Or what are people going to think if I put this out into the world? Like all the things, right? There's a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves when we try something new. So I told her, I said, we've got to talk about the anxiety of trying something new and putting ourselves out there. So like I said, I'm speaking with Danielle Kean-Grassi, who is an anxiety coach and a public speaker who enjoys helping women in business create a tangible plan of action to clearly brand themselves, while at the same time working with their own energetic roadblocks that may be limiting their creativity and money flow. Like, I'm so excited for you to hear this conversation that I had with Danielle, because I really think it can help you if you're struggling with the anxiety of starting your podcast. So let's get right to my interview with Danielle. All right, Profit Podcast listeners, I'm so excited to be bringing to you my new friend, Danielle Kean-Grassi. So welcome to the show, Danielle.
Crystal, thank you so much. It's so great being here. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, y'all. So I'm going to put a Facebook link in the show notes. If you have not checked out the conversation that Danielle and I had on her Facebook page, you got to go watch that. Like, it was such an amazing conversation. Danielle is you're so much fun. I'm so happy that we've met online, and I would love to one day meet you in person as well.
Absolutely. No, I think it's so beautiful that we were able to co-create and then now co-create again and just deliver as much value as we can. So yes. Thanks for just doing this with me. Thank you.
Yes, this is awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you on the show. So I've read your bio at the beginning of this podcast, and I want people to know a little bit more about you, what it is that you do and how you got into it, and just tell us all the things.
Absolutely. So I'm an anxiety strategist and speaker as well, really focusing in on really what's holding you back in business and limiting you from the success and money you want. Because really it comes down to that confidence issue and how you're presenting yourself in front of people, what your brand is like. And that all has to do with those small little moments that add up, especially playing with big players. So if you want to put yourself in a new position and uplift your life, uplift your business, you're going to have to make those simple tweaks when it comes to confidence and being ready to take that next step. So I help only women. Women are so powerful and amazing to me. So determined women that can really stand for themselves, stand on their own, while also being gently pushed by me.
I love that. I love the gently pushed, because that's what I think of, when it comes to you, like we've had several conversations back and forth, and I really see that in you and in your personality. Like kind of on the surface, you look at Danielle and she looks so sweet. And so, like, I'm going to be your best friend. But I also feel that energy of like, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to hold you accountable, and I'm going to make sure you're doing the things to get out of your comfort zone and do those things that you need to do to grow.
Yes. And that's so important too, because some people can easily just take a step back and go, you know what, I'm okay. I don't really want this. But inside they have that burning desire. It's like, yes, I actually really do want this and I really crave this, but I don't know right now how to get it, but I know I will be able to. So it's that little push, because everyone already has it all. They already have it. They just need to let go of, like, again, limiting beliefs or anything, blockages that are just standing in their way. And most of the time you need a coach to help you through that, because you imitate that other person and how they've done it for themselves.
Oh, well, I love that you said that about, like having someone help you and coach you in the right direction. So the majority of our podcast listeners have either thought about starting a podcast or they're in the beginning stages. And I know, because I see the conversations and I read your private messages, I know y'all struggle with doing something new, getting out of your comfort zone. So Danielle, if someone were to come to you and say, okay, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, but I'm going to sound stupid, or I'm not an expert in what I'm doing, or I feel like I'm not good enough to do this. Like, what would you say to someone who had these feelings and these anxieties about that?
I would say I had all of those same fears with each step of what I'm doing now. And it was either I live in that fear or I slowly change it. Not a quick, fast change, but to slow, okay, step by step by step. And my biggest fear, and maybe some of your podcast listeners have this exact same fear, but what really held me back was what other people were going to think of me. What are other people going to say about me, especially those who knew me before I had the idea to conjure up a business, before a podcast, before whatever it was? And am I going to get judged? Am I going to get hate mail? And it's so easy to go down that spiral based on the fact that social media is everywhere. You see these comments and you see viral comments that might just put you into a state of anxiety or even depression. And so it's kind of scary with all this technology. Sometimes you want to reflect and kind of hide back. But I encourage everyone to actually do the opposite, because that's where their most authentic self lies. It's within the power of saying, I'm putting this out there. If you love me, that's your problem. If you hate me, that's your problem. So almost you're taking a step back and seeing it as a science experiment. So think of it as like I'm mixing two chemicals together and it might combust, right? Would I take that personally? No, it's just what's happened. So I think of situations as neither good nor bad, but I'm just seeing the theatrical play right in front of me while also being authentic to what I want to pursue within that theatrical play.
That, like, those are amazing metaphors that I've never heard before. So that is, it's just I'm a very visual person. So it's so great to think of, this is just an experiment, and some things work and some things don't. And I can say I'm a true testament to this. I mean, I had a podcast for almost an entire year. It was several months that was geared towards one thing. And then I switched and I rebranded everything. And it's scary. It's scary because you're so worried about, what are these people going to think? And like you said, the people that knew you before you started something, like, and honestly, their opinions don't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
they don't.
Outside of your little personal bubble of, your friends, your family, and the people that you interact with on a daily basis, everything else, it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Exactly. And most of those opinions have something to do with that other person. Right. And I know that's already always being told, but it's so easy just to interact so quickly and react to what they're saying. But in actuality, it's okay to just take a step back and go, am I coming from ego or my authentic self? Ego is everything that I'm proving, justifying, defending, or hiding. So am I coming from those four obstacles, or am I coming from a place where I know there's brilliance inside of me?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh, that's so awesome. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Well, can you give a personal example of how this idea has manifested in your own life, whether it's with your business or possibly even working with a client? Like, can you just give us an example?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can give you a few. So working with a client is one of them. And she's a beautiful client inside and out, but she was having a lot of pain and problems with her own confidence level, right? So she was wanting to take a next step and really gear herself ready for that. And it was different than what she's already done in the past. And so looking at that situation, it's like, okay, now I know what's going wrong. So she was wanting to get a promotion, right? And she was like, you know what? I don't deserve this promotion. I'm not ready for this promotion. And so doing a little bit of work, little back end work, little energy work as well, and combining those two, she was really able to not just get a promotion, but counter that promotion. And she goes, no, I don't believe I deserve this percentage. I believe I actually deserve this percentage. Wow. I'm working 2.5 people right now, and I actually know I'm worth this. So maybe people just don't know their worth, and they're working from their worth from yesterday, which has already changed. Worth just continues to change, right? And evolve. And sometimes we forget that based on the idea that we're so into the material, we're so into our business. And so ever since she's made that worthiness shift, now she got married. She also just purchased a house. So it's not only affecting her business, it's affecting her whole life.
Right.
It's affecting her personal life too. And being like, you know what? I deserve more.
Right.
I deserve so much more.
Right. That's so amazing just to see like a few small things, which, you know, obviously they're not. I say small things, but but it is like they're small, but they're also exponentially like these humongous things that, you know, make the biggest difference.
Yeah, so critical. Even opening my private Facebook group, right? I remember how squished my stomach was. I think I was taking a shower and I literally had to get out of the shower and going, people are going to judge me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to, you know, open this for everyone to see. What value do I have? And you can easily go into that spiral and you go, you know what? Wait a minute. I actually do have something. And it might not be everyone's cup of tea, and that's all good, but it's my cup of tea. And I deserve this flavor.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, that was such a great point with bringing up your Facebook group, because when people launch their podcast, right, everyone starts at the same zero. Everyone has zero downloads at some point in time because you have to start somewhere. And that's my motto of life is keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. So can you talk to someone who, let's say it's a brand new podcaster, they have just launched their podcast, but now they're getting wrapped up in those vanity metrics, whether it's, okay, I've started this, but I don't have as many podcast downloads as I thought I was going to have. Or I started this Facebook group that I wanted to go with the podcast, and there's my mom in there. You know, there's only one person. Yeah. So can you speak to those anxieties and how real they are? Even though a lot of us, I think that we get caught in our own head thinking this is just me. So can you touch on that?
Well, there's 2 points on that. It's the one point of actually doing it, purchasing it all, and having the confidence and gusto to say, you know what, I'm going to do a podcast. I know this is going to be a great podcast. And then the second, when you start everything up and going a few months later, no one's joining. What am I doing? And then that ego takes over. Well, I must not be good enough. I must not be ready. Someone is better than me. My voice is too shrill, which was always my thing. I didn't want to do Facebook Lives or anything on that because I thought my voice was just terrible, like everyone else does, right? And you just have to recognize, fine, perfect. I'm glad my mom is only here, right? I have a great supporter within my mom.
Right.
Oh, I only have one subscriber. Great. That subscriber needs that value. That subscriber needs to hear this today. And I'm the one to share it. I'm the one that can actually put them in a trajectory forward. They actually need to hear about this and hear from it from my lips. And once you start the brain into thinking the opposite, you go, you know what? I don't care. I
Right.
don't care. I can just slowly, be able to attach this one follower, maybe even contact that follower, see if she found that value to spread this to her following now, right? So it's just the little things you tell your mind. Are you going to think of it as the experiment, like we mentioned before? Or are you going to evolve yourself within those chemicals and combustion mixture?
I love that. Like it's just so right. And I think just even you and I having this conversation
Yeah.
is so important because I honestly didn't even know there were other people because this is what I did. I launched my
Yeah.
podcast over a year ago. And
Yeah.
then I was like hitting refresh on the stats. Like for the entire first week, I was like, who's listening? How many downloads do I have? And I was freaking myself out. And then it got to a point to where I was joining these other groups and seeing, just how social media is. It can be toxic or it can be amazing,
Yes.
whichever label you want to give it. But,
Yes.
someone else is launching and they had 10,000 downloads in the first week or the first month. And then
Mm.
you immediately feel deflated and you
You feel
feel
so
like
depleted.
I'm not good enough. And so I want to give you this and then I want to ask you a question. So
Yeah.
there is a statistic within the
Mm.
podcast world that most shows don't even make it past, I want to say it's 14 episodes. So there are
Wow.
thousands of podcasts that are out there right
Yeah.
now you can go listen to, but then they
Yeah.
stop. They don't keep
Yeah.
going. So if someone's listening to this right now, what advice would you have for them if they're doing this whole like spiral of I don't have enough followers or I don't have enough people in my group, I don't have enough downloads, and I'm getting to that point where it's kind of like, should I keep going? Should I keep doing
Yeah.
this? What advice would you have for them?
So everyone just needs two things. They want to be safe.
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants.
Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
They want to be loved. And in this aspect, it's being loved, being seen, and being heard, right? And without that, some people go, oh my gosh, and go within that spiral. Now, stay curious in those moments that you go into the spiral. Are you being a victim of your circumstance? Or are you changing the story around to what you like and what you love? And starting to love yourself so much no matter the numbers. And that's the hardest thing ever. You tell someone to love themselves, they go, okay, but really, what does that mean? What does that mean for me to love myself? And it's just really taking it easy and knowing that it's going to take time. If it happened tomorrow, it wouldn't be as fun and you wouldn't learn as much as you would want to learn, right? But it's the marketing tactic. And I encourage everyone to really go with the story of it's the moment. It's not the outcome. If you always think about the outcome, it's never coming. However, if you give yourself grace, which is so hard in today's society because we're constantly looking at this person or that person, and we don't give ourselves enough grace, it just takes so much longer and so much harder to get to those results. So staying back and going, am I being a victim of my circumstance? And being really truthful with that. You don't have to broadcast that to everyone, but within yourself and going, where am I being the victim? stay curious. I always tell my clients or invite them to see where the feeling is coming up in their body. So sometimes feelings will come up in the chest, head, of being a victim or being unworthy, right? Not being loved. And when these feelings come up, it's usually something that happened before the age of 8. And they look at that and go, oh, this is why I don't feel this way, is because a situation of an authority figure told me I would never come to anything. And I took that to heart. And now I'm taking that story right in my present moment.
Right.
So looking back, staying back and going, this is just a story I'm telling myself. I can easily tell myself another story.
Right. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good, because I love the idea of, it's almost like your story's written in pencil, right? It's not in pen, it's not in permanent marker, you can think of it as a dry erase board, it's like, if you just want to wipe the slate clean and start over, like that is a possibility. So I love that you brought that up, because I feel like with podcasting, that's what you're doing. It is all stories. It's all personal examples. Or even if you have a podcast where you're teaching something, then you're including stories of other people, stories of yourself, and stories of triumph, overcoming, or failure. And I think that that's what's so beautiful about this platform, is because like we're able to have conversations just like this, and other people, like listeners, they're able to just listen to our open discussion about it, because it's what I love. It's what I love so much about this platform.
And that's so perfect. And one more thing that's just come to mind.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that someone else is so much better and they were just born better. But that's never the case. What you're doing now is what you once struggled with so much. I do a lot of public speaking, right? And I always mixed up my words when I was little. My brain was a little bit too fast for my lips to reach. And I had to constantly practice that. And people really, for a really long time, had no idea what I was even talking about. And I had to just go back into myself and go, well, what story am I going to tell myself? Am I going to be bad at this, or am I going to actually learn from this and take this as an advantage because I've learned from it? So don't think of yourself as you have to be that natural. You're more courageous because you've learned from this. You've learned from those mistakes and from the anguish, and now you're presenting that. And that's so much more powerful than being a natural. So much more powerful.
Well, I love that you just said that about public speaking, because y'all, if you go to Danielle's Facebook page, you would never in a million years guess that she's ever had problems speaking, because you do so many of these interviews and you do them so well. And you just blew my mind right there. I had no idea that you would like it, because you seem so natural with it. You seem so confident. But I also understand that just comes with time. It comes with practice, and it comes with just doing it.
Practice. Exactly. Doing it is such, and once you do it, and then you go, oh, I'm so shaky, I'm so wobbly. It's okay. Just do it again. Give yourself grace. Do it again and again. And eventually it will all be okay. It'll all be okay.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Cause that really is like, it's public speaking and podcasting go so much hand in hand. Actually, I do want to ask this question real fast. What has helped you, if you could give the listeners one tip or one takeaway, what is the one thing that has helped you feel more confident as a public speaker?
I'm going to make a mistake.
That's good.
Just saying I'm going to make a mistake allows me to not think about the mistake I'm going to make and be know what? I'm going to already make a mistake. I think there was one time I spoke in front of 80 people shaking, and you could feel it in my voice. This was in the very beginning, shaking. And I was like, you're going to make a mistake. So why don't we just say our piece, get it over with, and so we can talk like I'm one-on-one with someone. It's okay. I'm going to, and giving myself grace for the mistakes I'm making, and knowing that I'm actually more personable when I do make mistakes, and not perfect is when I'm going to get that gold.
Right.
because no one wants someone that does everything right.
Right.
They want you to be a human being. They want your imperfections, because it just makes you vulnerable. Brene Brown, vulnerability,
Yes.
right? It makes you human. And that's what's so attractive. That's magnetizing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So just a quick note on Brene Brown. First of all, I've
Yes.
read all of her books and I recommend you go grab them. I will link to them in the show notes, but go read everything that she has. Go watch her Netflix special. If you have no idea what we're talking about, just Google Brene Brown and look up her TED Talk. Like, oh my, I love that you said that. I'm a huge Brene Brown freak. And I think that being involved in those conversations, like obviously I've never spoken like personally with Brene Brown, but hearing her imperfections, someone at her level, you know, and just learning from the things and just knowing that you're going to make mistakes, but valuing opinions of people that are in the arena. Like, I know that's one of her things. Like, who are the people in the arena with you? Because they're the only opinions that matter, whether it's a coworker or someone that you're working with or a colleague or a coach, whoever it is. Like, those are really the only people that matter, not that person who's completely random on Facebook and they said something stupid, you know, that you say, oh, that kind of hurt my feelings. Does it matter? Does their opinion matter? And it really doesn't. 99% of the time, it does not matter.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And if it does matter, it's something you take and go, oh, I didn't see it like that. Let me try it that way.
Right.
Without taking the emotions inside of it. Just take it as constructive criticism.
Right.
But you're right. Nothing matters.
Right.
And I believe there's no such thing as a mistake.
Right.
It's just the way life is. It's that ebb and flow, that balance.
Right.
So it's just interesting.
Oh, it's so good. Well, I want to move into the next segment of the show, which is our Keeping It Real questions. And so my first one that I have for you is, what motivates you to keep going when it's a super rough day? You've spilt your coffee, you woke up late, there's a storm outside, you know, all the things have just gone wrong. Like, tell me what motivates you to keep going?
Yeah. Sometimes it's even taking a break, because if I push, I know the whole day is going to be terrible. I'm not going to be on my A game. So even if that's a 5-10 minute break, maybe that's a dance off. Maybe I'm dancing to Spice Girls. Who knows?
Yes.
Maybe that's, or maybe I need to listen to something that's motivational or something that's just fun and frilly and cute. Maybe looking at pictures at Pinterest, or maybe listening to, I always keep a really big one is I always keep testimonials by my side to remind me what I've already done.
Oh, that's so good.
In order to recreate that in someone else's life. Because I can muster that confidence from those testimonials and go, I know I have this. I'm ready. Game face on.
Oh, that's so good. That's such a great, I'm actually doing the same thing. I just created a Google Doc this last week, I think. And then I just put all these conversations that I had with, you know, either former clients or former students, and like, they're all the negative stuff that doesn't matter. I don't keep that. I don't want to have that in a file somewhere. I keep all the ones of people saying, you helped me or you made a difference. So if you're listening, I highly encourage you. And I know Danielle's going to say the same thing, like, do that, all that positivity. It can really, even if it doesn't change, let's just say you had a crappy day and you still have a crappy day. But if you have that one glimmer of, you changed someone's life and you made a difference, it can make all the difference in the world.
Oh my gosh. And if you change someone's life, you change your trajectory.
Yes.
Look how much value you put in the world.
Right.
Looking at just that one person and how that's trickled off to everyone they meet and serve.
Right.
That is huge.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes. I feel like we should coin that. It's probably a thing already, but I'm like, the ripple effect of positivity. I'm sure it's been coined 10,000 ways or times, but that's totally what it is, because you change someone's day around. I always think about, and this is it's like a side tangent, the people that pay for other people's drinks at Starbucks. I've never had this happen to me, but I've seen, you know, people post on social media. It's like, oh, someone paid, the person in front of me paid for my coffee, and it just made my day. But I feel like it's it's that simple, but it's also that impactful. Like it's that
So
powerful whenever you do something like that. So that's great advice. I'm so glad you brought that up.
I love that.
Okay, so my next question is, do you consider yourself a perfectionist?
Oh my goodness. Yes, to a certain extent. There's a time that I'm like, you know what? We got to hit send, Danielle. We're not dealing with this anymore. Send now.
Yeah.
And I do. And it's almost a perfectionist with my own emotions, right? I should always feel happy. I should
Yes.
always feel content. No, I'm going to feel content right here in this moment. I'm not promising myself anything for the future.
Right.
So it's funny. I'm more of a perfectionist with my own emotions than I am with actual content.
Right.
And I'm still trying to change that around. Being real vulnerable again, still trying to change that around and seeing anything that's there. And I go, this doesn't fit. Let's examine. Let's be curious about that. Put our detective hat on. Curious about that. And see what it's about.
Well, I love that you said that because I struggle with the same thing too when it comes to emotions. I feel like I should always be happy and chipper and this or that. And then my husband will say something. He's like, well, you're not a robot. And it makes me laugh because I'm like, you're right. I'm not just okay, let's just put in the computer. We're going to be positive for the rest of our lives. And so I'm glad you said that because I'm sure someone else needed to hear that too. Maybe they just need to have a bad day to have a bad day and not fight it, just sit in the suckiness of the day and just move on.
Exactly. What is that bad day teaching you?
Yes.
Maybe it's actually saving you from something else. I've had situation, I'm assuming maybe you have as well, where you're in a situation, you go, oh, why did this happen? And then like 3 months later, you go, thank God this happened. Thank God I didn't go that route. Yes. And so it's just the universe, God kind of giving you those little hints, right?
Yes. It's like little breadcrumbs everywhere.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. And my last question I have for you is if you could go back and tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would you say to her?
Relax. It's all going to come into fruition. You don't have to get this done tomorrow. You don't have to get it done tomorrow. It's just play it like a game and see money as a game and worthiness and money together. I think there's such a big connection. Play it as a game. Play the podcast as a game. And if you lose one day, you lose and you can just hit restart. But really relax. It's all okay. It's all okay.
Oh, that's so good. Well, I love this conversation today. And my biggest takeaway, honestly, is the reaction or like, you're putting things into the beaker, you're in the lab, you're testing things, everything's an experiment. And if it explodes one day, then you just go back and you experiment more and you see the elements that work together and then that don't. So I hope that the listeners really connected with that. And we just go on this journey together and encourage each other because that's, to me, what it's really all about is connecting with other people just like you, Danielle. So on that note, where can everybody find you and connect with you and learn more about you?
Yes. So on Facebook, I'm there all the time. I have a closed Facebook group, Women Entrepreneurs Empowering Leaders. And it's a group to give value, promote yourself. You can also find me on email, that's ASK, at Kean strategies.com. And I'll definitely be sending you these links.
Yes.
I also have a website, www.keanstrategies.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for this. I'm so happy that our paths crossed when they did and that we've just had the opportunity to have these awesome conversations because y'all have to go check out Danielle. How many Facebook Lives have you done with other entrepreneurs?
Oh, wow. I would say 15 or so, but that could be wrong. So anywhere from like 15, 20.
Yeah. So there are so many amazing women. If you are looking for some inspiration or you just want to see what all is out there. I know that you've spoken with a real estate agent, and then who was your last?
Yes.
Give me some other like industries
Yep.
that you've worked with.
Yep. So real estate, like you mentioned, Kim Wolfman, she went from making no sales to now 40 million on track, just changing her mindset up. So she's on track to generate 40 million this year. Environmentalists. Who else? I also attract other anxiety coach, procrastinating coaches, because they mesh with my audience as well. What else?
Didn't you have someone about marketing or brand awareness? Was that
brand awareness? Yep, that was one of them. And now I'm losing the track right now.
Well,
but
y'all
there's
should
so
just
many
go.
interviews. There's so many.
So good. Oh my gosh, they're so good. So if you're looking for an inspiring entrepreneur, like more stories, I'm going to link to Danielle's Facebook page where you can go watch all of these. And I would love, Danielle leaves these up, right? I'm assuming that they're still on your page. So go and leave a comment. She would love to interact with you, and go join her Facebook group, and just start following all the things that she does. Cause I love your personality, and you're just so easy to talk to, but I can tell that you're going to give us that tough love that we need when we need it. So I appreciate that so much about you. So thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for just sharing this with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did. I know I feel so special that I get to chat with Danielle, and, we have conversations back and forth about helping other women and just the whole online business. We just love it so much. I feel like I could geek out with her about all things Facebook Live, and we could chat more about podcasting and just helping other people, because that is really what sets our hearts on fire. And I hope that you reach out to Danielle if you feel like her story and everything that she shared really resonated with you, because I know that she would love to have a conversation with you. So be sure to check out Danielle's private Facebook group, Women Entrepreneurs Empowering Leaders. And she is actually offering us a special offer. She's running a business anxiety assessment for half price. It's usually around $100, and she's offering it for $55. So go check out the show notes, and you can check out all the other details along with that. So go follow Danielle and see how she can help you in this journey of trying new things and putting yourself out there, because she would love to hear from you. But that does it for this episode. So if this is your first time tuning in, I'd love for you to subscribe and hear what other fun things we'll be talking about in the coming weeks. Be sure that you sign up for the 5-day podcast bootcamp, and check out the other great resources we have in our resource library. And grab the show notes at crystalprofit.com/episode 69. And remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message, because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, "Send Crystal a text message." And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, "Send Crystal a text message." And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.